I'm joined by Hoboken's 4th Ward Councilman Ruben Ramos. He is running unopposed for re-election in the November 7th election. Ruben, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me on Hudson TV to talk about the 4th Ward.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Longtime friend. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
And I'm sure you're thrilled about having no opposition. So let's just talk about some issues in the 4th Ward. 4th Ward is basically the southwestern corner of the city of Hoboken. Obviously, one of the big things that affects that area, unfortunately, is the flooding issue that happens when you get the heavy rains. But the city has taken steps. They're continuing to take steps to remediate that. Is enough being done, in your opinion, to try and solve that situation?
Well, I think over the past 20 years, we have done things to try and attack the issue. We're going to continue to do things to try and alleviate the issue as much as we can, but small steps, right? We've taken those steps, but I think I was speaking with someone tonight, a resident on Jackson Street, and if we had a rainstorm 20 years ago, that water would sit in those corners for 24 to 48 hours. Now we have a storm, fortunately, now it sits maybe for 4 to 6 hours, depending on the amount of rain we get. So the flood pumps aren't working. Some of the steps we are taking are working, but unfortunately, gravity is our biggest opposition. When we have rain that comes down from Jersey City on Patterson Plank Road, Ravine Road, Mountain Avenue, unfortunately, it's going to come sit on the lowest portion of our city with the Southwest Hoboken. But we are taking steps where we're asking our new developments in Southwest Hoboken to again put water retention systems within their buildings. Our new Southwest Park expansion is also going to have a water retention component in that system as well. So again, that will help us capture some of the water that's falling in Hoboken. That will help alleviate, hopefully help alleviate some of that runoff water that we're getting from the hills in Jersey City.
One of those additional things with regard to park creation, you have resiliency parks that are being constructed that help retain the water. Talk a little bit about that and how successful that has been to this point.
Well, again, we've had Southwest Park has been there for about 5-6 years now. It does help alleviate, but again, it's not the end all be all magic bullet that we're looking for. Again, gravity is our biggest opposition to doing that, but it does help. But it's not the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution that we have for us is the third flood pump that is going to be going in the Northwest Resiliency Park. When that's completed, and that's just another phase of that. We have 2 flood pumps working now, so it's a matter of capturing some of the water, but again, trying to move that water out as fast as we can, because again, the gravity is our biggest opposition. Anyone that tells you otherwise to try to totally alleviate the problem, aside from elevating all of our streets in Hoboken, is just lying to you.
What's the time frame at this point for that third pump?
The third pump, I think, I want to say the construction on the third pump itself hasn't begun yet. So that's in their next frame. So I think we're looking at 12 to 16 months for that. So while the pump portion is going to be going in Northwest Resiliency Park, but the connection still needs to be built after that.
One of the other things that just about everyone that I've spoken with so far that's affecting the city, unfortunately, is the rodent problem.
Yes.
How severe and how bad is it in your ward?
It's a problem. It's a big problem. Again, I've lived in West Hoboken my entire life, and there was a time when living west of Willow, that was the kind of like the mantra: don't move west of Willow, it's too dangerous back there. Now everyone lives west of Willow almost, and and people are living along the railroad tracks. People are living in places in Hoboken that never lived there before. But in all those years growing up in Hoboken, we never had a rodent infestation that we're seeing today. And the photos and the videos that I get from residents every single day is extremely concerning. Quite frankly, I'm embarrassed about where this issue has blown up to. There's multiple components. COVID like hit us like a brick, so the rodents could grow from there. We had portions of the Palisades was taking down on the Hoboken Union City border, disturbing their habitat. That becomes a component of that as well. And again, the food sources that we're creating with parklets and poor garbage maintenance on our behalf has really given them a food source, allowing this situation to really grow out of control. We need to do our best to go out there and really hire professionals 24/7, ramp up our garbage collection 24/7. I didn't vote in favor of creating the parklets. I mean, permanently, we do what we had to do. I felt at the time to help our restaurants survive throughout COVID. But I think now we have to take a step back for the greater good and move beyond that until we really capture and control that rodent issue, because it really is a problem. Quite frankly, I'm embarrassed. And when I walk by City Hall, even, and that's like the picture of it is I received a photo from a resident tonight, a first ward resident, not a fourth ward resident. And they're all walking by City Hall, and they took pictures of rat burrows around City Hall. So if we're not taking care of ourselves, how are we expecting our residents to maintain their properties? We have to lead by example and better maintaining our garbage infrastructure in our city as well. So we have to do better. We have to do better.
So some things have been taking place and have been implemented at this point. What
we
other types of measures can be put in place to try to stem this?
Yeah, we have the garbage ordinance resolution where people have to maintain their garbage in units of 10 units or less. But we have to take a more aggressive approach into like the total elimination of it. We have baited on corners, but as long as these other open resources are out there for them to eat, they're not going to eat the bait, right? So we have to be more aggressive in poisoning, in the trapping, and again, controlling our own resources. If you go through Washington Street, some of the bins are overflowing. That should not take place. So we have to be more aggressive in our own maintenance of our facilities, and that way we can lead by example going forward. So hopefully eliminating that issue altogether, because quite frankly, it's any elected official that tells they're not embarrassed by this, it's our number one job is the health and well-being of our residents. And in that aspect, we failed miserably. And hopefully we have to turn that tide and do whatever we can to turn that tide.
I'm sure another thing that leads to the disturbance of the rodent population, they're getting disturbed by having, construction going on, that uproots their locations. I mean, let's face it, the rodents are disgusting to begin with, but how much of an issue is that? Is there too much development taking place in the city that moves them out and they become more visible? Is that an issue also?
I'm not sure if that's as much of an issue, and the reason why it goes back to my earlier component, right? And in the neighborhood I lived in, West Hoboken, it was my house, a couple other houses on the block, and vacant lots everywhere. So now there's no more vacant lots, and these lots. We've been doing construction for the past 25 years in Hoboken, and it wasn't a problem that existed while that construction phase in Hoboken and this change in Hoboken through development was taking place. This is an issue that's really exploded in the past. Talking about, we had skunks 4 years ago. I started talking about that. We have to do a better issue of taking care of maintaining the skunk population that's growing now, and dogs getting sprayed. My dog was a victim of being sprayed by it. So I wouldn't say that it's construction, because construction has been a major part of Hoboken since the early 2000s and the late 90s and early 2000s, which really has changed Hoboken from one city, like a real blue collar, roughneck, urban population to now a cosmopolitan city. But we can't be cosmopolitan with rats running rampant through our streets.
Let's talk a little bit about pedestrian safety, traffic issues. A lot of people in Hoboken don't have cars, so they either walk or they cycle, on their bikes. Is there a big problem happening in your ward? I know that some of the other candidates have talked about we need more stop signs or we need more traffic lights, whatever. How bad or how is the current situation in your ward? Is it safe? Could it be improved?
I think everything could be improved, right? But again, everything comes down to enforcement. We could put stop signs at every single corner in Hoboken, but unless we make it a priority to issue tickets for those individuals that are running stop signs, whether it be cyclists or vehicles, the issue is not going to stem as far as people, safety for pedestrians and crossing the streets if we're not going to enforce all of our laws. So that's the primary component there is enforcement. As far as the cyclists go, we did build a connection bike lane between Hoboken and Jersey City in Southwest Hoboken to try and make that trip safer for residents exiting Hoboken if they're going to Target, if they're going to Newport Center, visiting downtown Jersey City. We did have a bike lane that connects along our light rail path that is safe. It's off the not within traffic realms there. If you're going along the light rail on 2nd Street, and hopefully with the Hoboken Housing Authority redevelopment plan, there is a component of that having a park along the Housing Authority western portion, and the railroad track as well. And hopefully there'll be a bike lane there as well to connect all of Western Hoboken to make it safer for people to try and whether get exercise or getting from north to south points of Hoboken using that. So we could always be better, but everything is a balance.
Councilman, before we wrap this up, is there any other topic or topics that you want to address?
Yeah, I think a couple of issues that I think is something that Jeff, you and I have been talking about for 20 years now, the Hoboken Housing Authority, right? Our most vulnerable residents, those buildings are have fell into deplorable conditions, unsanitary conditions, and we're at the precipice of adopting a redevelopment plan that has great potential to improving the lives of all the Hoboken Housing Authority residents. And unlike other municipalities, and not just in New Jersey, but throughout the country, when they redid their housing authority, they displaced all of their residents. We are not doing that. We're not displacing any of our residents. When construction takes place, we're going to build the building, move those residents into those buildings, and then knock buildings down from there. So that's one thing that we, like across the board, every elected official in town, the housing authority commissioners, the director of the housing authority, and we really had to get buy-in from the federal HUD in order to make that happen, because that was their model. We just want to knock the residents down, give them vouchers, wherever they go, and maybe we'll give them the option of coming back. But we don't, Hoboken's a special place, and we wanted to make sure that all of our housing authority residents have the ability to stay in Hoboken for as long as they can. And that not only helps the Hoboken Housing Authority residents, but that helps the surrounding neighborhood as well. And it really moves that imaginary barrier and really helps us integrate all components of Hoboken. So that's an important issue that I've been fighting for 20 plus years. It's been a long battle, but we're in this fight till the first piles get driven in, those first families moving into new residence there. So that's extremely important for me. And also the new Chambord development, where hopefully one of our anchor tenants will be a new grocery store, and hopefully there'll be an announcement and speak with developers around mid-November to early December. That would also be exciting for Southwest residents as well, and as well as the expansion of Southwest Park. So, we went to, when I first ran in 1999, everyone, they would call us the Forgotten Fourth. Well, we've been happily found by many residents who are my new neighbors, and I'm proud to call them new neighbors as well as some of the old residents. And hopefully we created a really dynamic neighborhood over the last 20 years. We want to keep that dynamic opportunity growing here in our neighborhood. So I appreciate your time, Jeff.
You want to throw out a social media platform if people want to learn more about what you're doing?
Now, text me, 201-401-7947. You don't get anyone else, you get me, or email me at councilmanramos4@gmail.com. I'm not as active on social media as probably I should be, because I prefer to live my life in real time. so I do try. I don't want to live my life on my phone 24/7. But if you do text, call, or email me, you will get a response from me, not from a staff or anyone else. I take great pride in reaching out to residents, communicating with residents myself, and developing those personal relationships with residents, so I could best know what's going on in the neighborhood, because they really are my eyes and ears to let me know what's happening, so I could address their issues head on.
Councilman Ramos, thank you for joining me here on Hudson TV. I truly appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff, and go Pirates as always, Jeff. I appreciate it.